Hi folks, it's Andy and welcome to today's Kendo Rant. I didn't manage to get one out on Friday, sorry about that. I hope you had a great weekend though, and let's get straight into the questions. Okay, hey Andy, what is the use of the inner loop on the inside of the door? I don't know if every door has it, but I heard that some places people use it to hang the door for drying, even though they don't seem to get very wet. I've seen some people tying an omamori to it. I've ignored it for a long time, but I can't get this question out of my mind these days. Thanks for the rant. Okay, so what you're referring to is on the inside of the door, lots of them have this little loop here, like this. Not all doors have it, actually. It's something that's put on finally as the door is being put together. When the mune is being attached to the door die, as it's been laced up here, they attach it here, and sometimes it's omitted. It's not always there because it's not super essential. And yes, indeed, some people do attach omamori to it, and that's an omamori is a kind of a little lucky charm that's you often get them from like Japanese temples and stuff like that. But the actual purpose for this, according to the there's a manual for looking after your Bogu that I think the AJKF put out, and according to that, it is for hanging it up, but it's not for just hanging the door up, it's for hanging the whole Bogu up. In some very traditional sort of older dojos in Japan, there's places where people can actually leave their Bogu, and there's two ways of doing it. Some of them have like shelves that you can leave it on, that's the most common, but in some dojos they actually have places where you can hang it up, and you need this loop in the door to be able to do that. So what you actually do is you get as you can see, I've tied my tare. This is my Shinobu Bogu set. You can see the stitching, it's very cool. I've tied my tare to the door like this. And then what you do is you take, just gone off shot, there we go. You take the men. This is my Shinobu men, which I absolutely love. And then you take the himo and you pass these himo. There's a few different ways of doing it. There's different sort of, obviously, you know, some people do it differently, just like tying the men or tying the tenugui or something like that. So don't go nuts in the comments if you think I'm doing it wrong. There's different ways to do it. But do leave me a comment if you know of another way. So you take the himo at the front, the bits that you normally tie around your head, and you thread them through the loop. Okay, thread them through the loop like that. Thread them through the loop. Sorry, I know it's not quite on camera. Tuck the mendare inside the door. So as you can see, it goes like this. Okay, so I can now, and then what I can do is I can then take my kote and thread one himo each through each kote, like this. I used to leave my Bogu like this actually in London when I used to live in London many years ago. And I practiced there at a university club. There was a Bogu storage area that you could actually hang your Bogu up on, and this is how I used to do it there. And then you can thread the kote through like that, and then if you can see, you can make it nice and neat. So you can either tuck the mendare inside the door like that, or you can let them go underneath slightly like that, and then you can use the remaining himo obviously to hang up the Bogu, the entire Bogu, just like this, to dry. And this is a great way to let it dry because it means that as I've said before, it's not good to leave the men face down like this when you're leaving it to dry, because the sweat and the moisture in the futon can soak down into the menbuchi, this hard part here that's painted red and black, and that doesn't want to get wet. If it gets wet, it can go soft. So if you hang it up this way, yeah. So you could do this at home too, of course. And if you've got somewhere you can hang up your Bogu, yeah, you could hang it up like this. It's a great way to dry it out because it does keep the men in good condition as well, and it's a good way of airing it out. Okay, so that's what the loop on the inside of the door is actually for. Okay, so I hope that helps. Okay, next one. Hi Andy, I have a question regarding your comments on nito in the last video. What do you think is the requirement for starting jodan or nito? I've asked this question to many people and received different answers. Some say that you have to be at least 3rd to 4th dan to try. Others say that you have to have really good chudan, without specifying what that means. What would you say are the most important factors in starting a practice in a different stance? Do people in your dojo often ask you the permission to switch stance or do without input from the teacher? Okay, so obviously in the last video I talked a little bit about nito. Somebody asked me my opinion on nito, and I'd made some comments saying that basically I think it's practiced for the wrong reason by many people, or taken up too quickly. Okay, this is a difficult one. Because it's not something that you should say really, oh, they have to be third dan or fourth dan, or whatever dan to be able to start doing nito or jodan or something like that. And there was another comment, I think it was in the early access group, where somebody said, well, what if, if somebody started in nito, it would just be the same as kind of starting in jodan in a way, so they kind of be going through a lot of the same struggles. Which I agree, I follow that as well. That sort of makes sense too. In that obviously, there's loads of people that are doing ito, like one sword kendo, like totally for the wrong reasons perhaps, or aren't really getting to grips with the basics with it. So it doesn't really necessarily matter if it's jodan or jodan or nito, but yeah, and I kind of see that point of view. I think the difficult thing with jodan and nito is that it relies on a lot of katate waza, one-handed waza, and you have to bear in mind as well that katate waza is much harder to control than the two-handed waza. Okay, so when you're thinking about practicing a sport or an activity or a martial art that involves other people, then it's really only fair to consider other people as well. So that has to be taken into consideration. I'm not necessarily saying it's dangerous for beginners to do nito or jodan, but it certainly can result in more bruises. So this is a bit of a difficult question. I'm sort of formulating the answer as I go here. I think what I would say is I wouldn't recommend most people to start kendo doing the jodan or nito, certainly, unless there was a very good reason for that. So, obviously injury or that sort of thing. But for the most part, I think it's better to have, I definitely think it's easier to get to grips with the more important base concepts of kendo, doing jodan, than it is doing jodan or nito. And it's not only easier, I think if you were to start doing jodan, I think there's a very high risk that you will miss some of the very important sort of key concepts of kendo that you naturally acquire through practicing jodan. Things like applying seme to the center line, or even the basic ashisabaki as well. And in my opinion, I would want to make sure that if somebody wanted to start jodan or nito, I think I'd want to make sure that they were able, first of all, to perform waza with good kikentai no ichi, with fumikomi, that actually hits at the same time as the stamp. Which sounds like basic stuff, but there's people that are, so often you see people that are at second dan or third dan that aren't quite there with that yet. If we took Japan as an example, you can't do jodan until you are a high school student. Okay, so at high school, most people are either second or third dan. So you're not allowed to start jodan until then. And nito, you're not allowed to start until after high school. So either university, or if you don't go to university and just become a regular adult. Most people doing nito. Lots of people do it. Not lots of people, but there are quite a few people that do it at university. They're usually around the third dan level. But again, it's a little bit difficult to compare like for like for that, because they've gone on a very different kendo journey than most people have outside of Japan. So yeah, I think what I'd be looking for is making sure that they can do the basic waza with Kikentai Ichi with the Fumikomi, and have a grasp of the concept of Yuko Datotsu. And then I'd be willing to consider helping them progress doing either jodan or nito. I'd want to kind of make sure that they're, you know, I mean, I'm not in the position to say to anybody, yes, you can or no, you can't. I don't have that authority. So it would be up to them. But as to whether I'd be happy to encourage them to do so or not is a different question. And if I thought they were the right person for it and they were at the right level, it requires a great deal of self-study and self-discipline. And yeah, same as what I said with nito. I don't think it's something that should just be done for a bit of fun. But that's my approach to kendo. I know lots of people do it because it's fun, but that isn't the concept of it. That isn't why nito exists in kendo. It isn't supposed to be a sort of shortcut, to kind of scoring points because you can block at the same time as hitting, or you can use the short sword to disturb the Shinai whilst you make a strike. It shouldn't be viewed in that way. The key concepts of kendo should remain the same throughout, and that's what I worry happens when people take up nito too quickly. And same with jodan, actually. As whether people ask in my dojo that I practice at the moment, I do have a student who does jodan, and he's done jodan for quite a long time. It was my suggestion to him to start doing jodan, and you know, he progressed quite well. Unfortunately, I suggested him to do jodan, then I actually left and moved to Japan for many years, and then came back recently. But he did very well. He did very well in competitions. He joined the national team, stuff like that. So that was good. And now we're going back to working on jodan with him in an effort to actually improve his jodan. Because probably it was a little bit too early for me to push him into going to jodan, frankly, in retrospect, yeah, because he hadn't quite hammered down those key concepts in jodan. So we're kind of going back to that now, to kind of go over it, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's where I sort of land on that. Okay, next question. Hi Andy, do you plan to launch a 11/11 sale on Kendo Star? Well, good news is there's always some kind of sale going on at Kendo Star. We've always got some sort of offer on. In fact, if you get over there now, we've got some November deals already going on. Some of them are actually sort of continued a bit from the Halloween sale, because they were so popular. We actually just kept them on, and we've got other ones as well. We will have more coming soon, but I can't really give away the details of that just yet because I don't quite know. I won't be having a specific 11/11 sale, but if you want Shinai, if you want cheap Bogu, but good Bogu, cheap but good Bogu, not cheap and nasty Bogu, and the awesome Gaia Hakama, they're still on sale over at KendoStar.com right now, so go and check them out, and you can already pick them up at a great price. Okay, next one. Can somebody tell me how regularly I should do my Shinai maintenance? Okay, so this was actually not posted on one of these Kendo RANT videos. This was actually posted on one of the previous videos I did about Shinai maintenance, but hopefully the person that posted this will see this anyway. Well, basically, ideally you should do it every few weeks or once a month or something like that. Best is to have like a few Shinai that you can rotate between, and then sort of yeah, if you kind of do it every few weeks or once a month or something like that, that should be absolutely fine. But obviously don't do them all at once, because then you'll have no Shinai to use for the next week or so. So that's why it's good to have a little stock Shinai so you can rotate them as you go, if that makes sense. For these elite Japanese kenshis, if given a choice, do you think they would rather win the individual All Japan Championships or the World Championships? A champion of a country or a champion of the world? Okay, so this was, again, this is a post from a little bit of an older video. From, I think, when I talked about the World Championships final. Obviously, we've had the World Championships this year, and we've just had the All Japan Championships the other day, which I'm going to talk about a bit more in a minute right after this question. But the question is asking which basically holds more prestige, winning the individual All Japan Championships or the World Championships. Frankly, it's winning the All Japan Championships. That definitely holds more prestige in Japan amongst the Japanese kendo community, without a doubt. Being the All Japan champion carries quite a lot more weight than being the world champion. Being the world champion carries a lot of weight, and it's very, very celebrated, holds a lot of prestige. But being the All Japan champion is something a little bit different. And frankly, the reason is because it's a harder title to achieve. It's much harder to win. Basically, you have to qualify. Obviously, you have to qualify to get in the team for the World Championships. But that's more like a selection from the All Japan Kendo Federation. Whereas the All Japan Championships, you have to get through. You have to win the tournament in your city, in your prefecture, sorry. And in a place like Tokyo, you actually have to win it twice, because you have to win the sort of regional Tokyo one, and then there's the Western Tokyo one, and then they have the sort of winners from those go against each other. So you have to win a series of matches before you even get into the Shinai, and then you're facing off with literally the best competitive kendo in Japan at that time, all on that day. It doesn't work the same in the World Championships. You don't, for those guys, they don't have that level of competition when they're in the World Championship. They do have some very strong competition out there. They've obviously got their teammates. They've got the guys from other, and ladies, of course, from the high-level teams around the world, but it's not quite the same. Being the All Japan champion, especially to the Japanese, means much more than being the world champion. Being the best in Japan it means a lot more, and it tends to just carry a lot more weight. You hear it much more when there's a bigger reaction when someone says, "Oh, he's the All Japan champion," or "that person the All Japan champion," than the world champion. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So, finally, just to sort of wrap up, I was going to do a little bit of a rant. It's not really a rant. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the All Japan Championships, obviously, that happened on Saturday. Fantastic tournament, as it always is. It's held on Bunka no Hi, the Culture Day, every year, 3rd of November. And this year was exciting, as it always is. I really, really enjoyed it. I posted a link to this morning on our blog, so check that out as well, of a collection of the scoring points, and there's some real crackers in there, really there is. But it was great to see the final, of course. A lot of talk about it being a very fast final, which I guess it was. But I don't really think of it that much like that, to be honest. I mean, I guess it was a fast final, but I don't really like to kind of point that out so much, because I don't think that that's so relevant. I mean, the final would have been just as impressive if it lasted 10 minutes as it lasted the sort of minute and a half, 2 minutes that it lasted, because the points that were produced were good, and both of the participants were absolutely phenomenal. So it's just that those opportunities arose earlier in the match than probably they do in other finals. It was a rematch from last year's final as well. Same people. It was Mr. Nishimura and Mr. Uchimura. Same final from the All Japan Police Championships, and it saw the same result as well. Mr. Nishimura, he won it last year, and he managed to win it again this year, as he did also beat Mr. Uchimura in the police championships. this year too. So very great achievement for him. It's his third time to win the All Japan Championships and second year in a row. So winning it 2 years in a row itself is a great achievement. Mr. Uchimura was challenging for his fourth victory at it too. So he, of course, is. I think I was most impressed by him throughout the entire event. I really did admire his achievements, not just throughout the day. I mean, it was like his 13th attempt at entering or something like that. So he's been in it for like 13 times for a start. He's so strong, not just physically, but obviously mentally, spiritually. And I really enjoyed, and if you go back and watch that clip reel that I posted this morning of the scoring points, just some of his points are just beautiful, really nice. Really, obviously, he's much more experienced than many of the people that he's against, and it really shows. He's not the sort of player that's going to win on just speed, because frankly, there's a lot of people in there that are a lot faster than him, a lot younger than him. I mean, I think he's like 38 or something now, so he's, there's guys in there that are like 22, 23, that are of course a lot faster. But still, he's winning through applying great semi, through excellent kind of interaction with his opponent and setting up this series of brilliant points. So yeah, I was really enjoyed watching his matches in particular. And yeah, super impressed by his achievement, frankly. To enter that tournament 13 times and to get to the final at his stage in his career is a super brilliant achievement. Absolute respect to that guy. But of course, not taken away from Mr. Nishimura's wonderful victory. He showed us some beautiful kote waza, which we've seen before, but absolutely never get tired of seeing it. Really beautiful waza from him as well. The guy's so powerful, he's an absolute Hulk of a Kenshi. He looks like when he's stood there in his Bogu. Absolutely love the power and explosive waza that he produces. I absolutely love that too. So if you didn't see it, then it's all over YouTube. If you get on the All Japan Kendo Federation YouTube channel, I'm sure they've got loads of videos of the matches. Like I say, I posted an Ippon reel this morning from it, so go and check that out. Did you watch it? Let me know in the comments what you thought. Did you have a favourite match? Favourite waza from it, favourite point? What did you think? I tell you what I did see as well. I did see a couple of comments saying, "Oh, isn't it so different to the World Championships?" Because obviously there was a bit of, well, not a bit, there was a lot of controversy after the World Championships about the rough and tumble that was happening between the final in Japan, the Japan versus Korea match of the men's team tournament. And that doesn't happen so much at the All Japans. And no, it doesn't happen so much at the All Japans because it's a very different atmosphere at the All Japans than it is at the World Championships. It's a very different atmosphere indeed. Of course, at the All Japans, they're still doing everything they can to win. But it's very different because how can I phrase this without causing a flame war? Frankly, the Japanese national team and the South Korean national team, they have very different kendo. It's a very different style, and it kind of clashes very aggressively. And obviously both of them need to win. And I'm sure and it's much more akin to what happens when you see some of these very aggressive matches at the All Japan Police Championships. Especially when you see the Imperial Police go out there, because they have a slightly different sort of flavour to their kendo as well. So yeah, I mean, there's that for a start. I would say that in my opinion, and I'll probably get accused of defending the Japanese team or something like that. I know some people have commented that before. I don't care, to be honest. You can think that if you want. But I do think that a lot of the aggressive stuff was instigated from the Korean side. I'm not saying it wasn't retaliated. I'm not saying that the Japanese didn't give as good as they got. But the pushing and the shoving, it seemed to me, was starting from the Korean side. But that's how I saw it. But maybe I'm wrong on that. But anyway, I don't want to kick that old one up again and have another flame war going on about that. But yeah, I enjoyed the All Japans. I hope you did as well. Let me know down in the comments what you thought. Leave me a new question as well. Let me know what you'd like me to talk about next time down there in the comments. Obviously, there's the Kendo Show Early Access group as well. I get a lot of the questions out of there. If you haven't joined that group, get in the group. There's a link in the description just to join it. It's totally free. I post all of the new instructional videos that we do on the Kendo Show. They go in there actually a few days before they go anywhere else. That's why it's called the Early Access group. And there's a load of great discussion going on there too. So get into that group if you're not in it already. Last thing is, of course, I've already mentioned Kendo Star once in this episode, so I won't push it too much. But yeah, we have got some stuff on sale. We've got some great deals on the Kendo Star All-Purpose Shinai. I think that's still on sale, actually. And we've got the Chikara Shinai, the Gaia Hakama, the new V1 Bogu set. Get to KendoStar.com, check out what's there. I'm sure you'll be happy with what you see. Okay, without all that being said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.